Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for our next interview in the Women in STEM speaker series. Every Wednesday from now through September 30th, we'll introduce you to some inspiring female role models who are doing incredible work in the variety of STEM fields. This series is supported by the Association of Science and Technology Centers and If Then through a grant about gender equity, which supports project aims at increasing the representation of women and gender and minorities in STEM. I'm Heather Nilsson. I'm the operations coordinator here at Carnegie Science Center. My pronouns are she, her. And today I'm excited to talk to Kay Savage, senior data analyst scientist at Spotify. Kay, thanks so much for joining us today.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Great. So today I have a few questions prepared to get our conversation started, but folks watching live are encouraged to ask questions of their own. So if you'd like to leave a comment for Kay with a question, and we'll try and answer it later on in our broadcast. So let's just dive right in. Kay, could you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I graduated from the University of Michigan in engineering, and from there took a variety of different career paths and positions that ended up being related in one specific part, and that was really being focused on math and statistics until I ended up now at Spotify. And once again, the thing that brought all of my different career paths together and the really unique thing about data science is that I was able to go into a variety of different fields, a variety of different content that I would apply data science to, and then eventually found myself applying it to music and podcasts and audio streaming, something I'm really passionate about, but at the same time, applying still my engineering background to this.
That's really cool that you can meld like two things that you're super passionate about into an amazing career. What does a day in the life of a senior data scientist look like?
Yeah, so at Spotify, we have a team called Product Insights, and that's comprised of both data scientists and user researchers. So I'm able to partner with my counterpart of data, if you will, so that data scientists are able to answer questions that might begin with what, like what is the performance of our product, or how many people are using this feature. And then we'll partner with user researchers who are able to give us a better understanding of mental models or like and dislike and understanding the qualitative features of the product experience. So my day-to-day as a product insights data scientist is to really focus in on one piece of the product and improve that for the user experience. We want to make sure that people are able to use it, they understand how to use it, and that they enjoy whatever piece we're working on. So right now I work on podcasts. And so we're really working on helping creators understand how to monetize their work while also getting our listeners to find new podcasts, to be able to get inspired, to be able to get that true crime binge that they need, or to be able to find out how to do something new while on their walk, while working out, while on their jog. And how do we balance those two, making sure our listeners are able to find their content and our creators are able to use the platform as well.
Awesome. That sounds like a really cool day in, day out. What do you love the most about your job?
I think what I love most, especially about working at Spotify, is that this is a global product. And so we are really touching millions of lives from both a creator perspective as well as listeners. And once again, going back to what's data science, it really is being able to apply things that I enjoy doing: math, statistics, data visualization, running A/B tests, while also applying it to things I'm passionate about, which are music, podcasts, audio streaming, things like that that I use every day. It changes my life as well.
Awesome. I know you shared a little bit with some of your projects. Is there anything specific that you'd like to share with us or could share with us?
Sure. Yeah. So going back to more of what's in a day-to-day experience for a data scientist, there's really two pieces of work that we might do. One is running a lot of A/B tests. And so we like to change the experience of Spotify a little bit and then understand if that affects how our listeners are using the platform. And then another piece that we do is more foundational research. So is there any holistic data that we need to better understand what users think about this product? And so for podcasts, a lot of what we're doing right now is trying to understand what type of streaming are people doing? How do they find new content? How do they get hooked to that? And how do we help them find that new content or be able to be hooked?
That sounds really, really cool. I spend a lot of time listening to true crime podcasts, so we're probably all experiencing your work if we're using Spotify. So it's really awesome to see and meet someone who's working behind the scenes on such a cool app and such a cool program. So I would like to ask how your STEM education prepared you for your career and ultimately, for your role with Spotify.
Mm-hmm. So the really interesting part about data science is that I think this is a relatively new career field. And so when I was in college, we didn't actually have a major focused specifically on data science. So a lot of the people in my same cohort have a very wide range of backgrounds. And that ranges from engineering, which is maybe more hands-on technical hardware, it could be, or we also have a lot of people focused on economics or behavioral science, computer science, this wide range of STEM careers that's still able to apply to our new one career field, data science. Because this career field is exploding now, however, a lot of colleges are creating undergraduate, graduate, certificate courses, bootcamp courses focused on data science because it is becoming this ubiquitous career field that so many variety of fields need. Data scientists are needed in sports TV. Data scientists are needed in fashion. Data scientists are needed in healthcare. So it's been an interesting path to realize. I'm glad that I ended up here with the background that I have, but at the same time, there are so many different ways for people to get into this career field.
That's a really awesome way to look at kind of how you can take one thing and you focus on your data science and you can expand it into something that you're super interested in and meld your passions together.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the moment or like the experience that sparked your interest in science and STEM?
There was definitely no one experience. I will say my earliest memory of at least being interested in technology, and technology in quotes right now, stay with me, but my brother and my sister and we used to take apart old appliances in my house. Like, for example, I remember taking apart a VCR, the original Netflix, if you will, not appropriate even comparison, but a VCR. We were terrible at putting them back together. And I did realize very early on, you can't really create a career out of taking apart appliances, leaving them on your living room floor and never putting them back together. But it was still really interesting to see how these everyday things that we take for granted actually work. And could I, if I wanted to, put them back together? Could I figure out how to improve them? Can I change it? Can I get inspired by what they do and apply it to something else? So that was the earliest memory. Fast forward throughout my school, though, I really did enjoy the math and science fields of any of the classes that I took. It was just a really interesting thing to study from a variety of perspectives. I loved at the end of a math equation, there's generally a right or a wrong answer. There's one number you're supposed to get. I loved for science, for biology, you were learning about something real, something inside of you that was how you operated and why you are the way you are. And so in the end, being able to stick with all of those fields and having this variety of classes and this non-specific, I didn't really follow one core class the entire time, but having this holistic view of science helped me then choose engineering at Michigan, where you get to take a lot of variety of courses, material science or chemistry or statistics, still in that science and engineering field, and being able to have the world at your feet once you graduate because you have such a good view of a wide variety of different sciences.
That's really cool. I would want to touch on something. It seems like your curiosity is kind of what led you into a career in STEM. Are there any other like traits that you can think of that would be awesome for someone who's interested in a STEM career to kind of pick up and, be curious about?
I think that's the one word that really describes any data scientist or scientist is remain curious, remain motivated and driven to find out these underlying reasons why something is, and stay almost skeptical. It's also fun to be told something, but then to also prove it's true or to prove when it doesn't happen. Maybe it's not a rule or a law, it's a theory. So it's good to, you took the words right out of my mouth. I think the number one thing to always remain is curious, and then have that motivation or drive to really dive into those questions.
Yeah, it's curiosity, so it's fun.
Mhm.
I can kind of remember similar stories from my childhood too, of like taking things apart and trying to figure it out,
Mhm.
and being able to apply that to a STEM career is super important. Is there anybody in your life that has mentored you or inspired you in some way along
Yeah.
your way?
And I've been really grateful for, I think, so many different people who were able to inspire me. Specifically, my mom and my dad are actually both University of Michigan engineers as well. They really pushed us to find any career, any study that was interesting to us, but it was really nice always having at least my mom as a female figure in engineering to inspire me and to help me guide me along the way. Additionally, my older sister is also a University of Michigan engineer who helped me in the day-to-day throughout my classes. And so I completely understand that that's such a unique situation to have two people so close to you who are able to help you in understanding how to navigate even picking this career field, let alone what to do afterwards. So those are my two main inspiration sources. And then, of course, as I got into the career world, there are also, I would say, two main people who have helped me navigate the actual career working industry. My freshman year roommate, I went in blind and got a random person who also ended up being an engineer. And we're in completely different fields of engineering, which actually helps us have a different perspective of how to give advice. At the same time, we both understand the technical aspects of what we're doing, but it's really nice to be able to have an outside look at your day-to-day career and how to move forward in those positions. So that's one other person. And then additionally at Spotify, we have mentor-mentee official programs. And so it's so important to have someone be able to understand the nitty gritty of your day-to-day at this, apart from, again, my freshman roommate or my mom or my sister who's very removed, and have them help you break some questions down, have a sounding board, have someone to bounce ideas off of and help you move forward, both with your actual projects and with your career. So I try to get inspiration from as many places as I possibly can. So I can't pick just one mentor. Every single day, I'm trying to look for new people to inspire me.
Yeah, it sounds like you've had an incredible amount of support
Mhm.
throughout your career. It's a really nice feeling, I'm sure, to have. Um, what advice, now that you're in a potential mentee spot, could you give to someone who is underrepresented in a STEM field, or who's interested in pursuing a similar career or area of study?
Yeah, so I'll start with the second part of that question. Anyone interested in pursuing data science, there is the underlying base of data science, which is, again, statistics, data visualization, some coding language, maybe Python or R. And then you're going to take those and apply them to a specific field, healthcare, TV, audio, like Spotify. So it really helps to have that base, but then also pick something you're passionate about or you want to specialize in. And that helps you have this diversity of not just a science field, but also if you're going to apply this again to fashion, take some fashion courses, understand that business, understand those key players, and it keeps it really interesting. So for the first part, I would say, get the baseline, get the cornerstone foundation of data science, and then pick what you want to specialize in, what's going to bring that passion to your work. And then as far as underrepresented communities finding a place in data science, step one, apply. do it. Get into that university. If you're not into a university, get into that boot camp. If you're not into that boot camp, get into that certificate. The really cool thing about data science is that there are so many free resources online. And even right now, everyone that I work with stays hungry, stays curious, and tries to teach themselves via the resources that we can find online. So the barrier to initial entry is pretty low. There's a lot of things that you can do proactively. And then it is finding those connections, finding those resources, finding that field that you want to specialize in, and being able to get your foot in the door, finding that right mentor who can help you navigate how to apply to this job or how to pivot your career into this situation. A lot of that is just proactively reaching out. But at the same time, please do. I think that from the lens of how I view Spotify, it's a global product that's used by every race, every gender, every age group. So we want to be able to hear from those people when building the product if we want it to resonate with each of those. So it's so important if you want to build a global product that you get a global perspective in your workforce. So I am grateful that Spotify does do that. They really work towards getting the best representation that they can, making sure that we have perspectives that are complementary and diverse and against each other so that we can have really fruitful discussions about how to build a global unique product. And then I would recommend the same for any other product in a similar feat, even if it's just a regional or a national initiative. There's no one single persona that can really amplify what you're doing. You need that diverse perspective.
That's awesome. You hit on the next question I was going to ask, which is how important is representation in science? But you've given me the answer already.
Yes, it's just so important. And I think people are slowly coming to a louder realization of this, which I'm so excited to be a part of that movement. It's not happening fast enough, but we're making steps in the right direction. So the other part is if you are in a position where you are an underrepresented group, please speak up and let your work be known, let it be heard, and inspire that next generation.
Thank you so much, Kay. I do have a couple questions from our audience watching as well, so we're going to hop to those next.
Okay.
I'm going to start with a little bit of a longer one. This person said, it's so interesting to know that data science is growing as a field and involves people from different academic backgrounds. Could you talk more about how your engineering background helped you develop a career in data science?
Mm-hmm. So my parents, once again, I'm so lucky that they're both engineers, but they told me when I was thinking about what career field to do at a university, they said, with an engineering degree, you can do anything. And that sounded great to me because I had absolutely no idea what my career was going to look like 10 years later or how to even think that far in the future. So it was really useful to have a career field that someone told me, I couldn't prove yet, but that someone told me would allow me to go in many different paths and pick that later. Now that I have graduated, I'm able to look back on those years and look back on the classes that I took to understand that I'll speak for engineering and then as STEM, but for engineering, they really do teach you how to think. So I may not be using the exact formulas in thermodynamics that I learned a decade ago, but I know how to apply a unique formula to different numbers, how to manipulate that and apply that now to my current job where I'm focusing more on manipulating and understanding statistical formulas. At the same time, I think that especially now nowadays as people move more towards computers, any class that you take, any online or on your own or a university course, they also let you touch on coding classes. So now you're getting a taste of what data science might be, even if it's not a course entitled data science or statistics. It could be that one math class that said, I'm going to recommend that we use R. So when you're doing this math class, it's actually really related to data science and it's helping you touch on these different aspects. So that way, when you do decide to pivot into data science if you wanted to, or pivot into a different career, you're actually having a really broad base of background knowledge for whether it's computation by hand, computation on a computer, that one biology or chemistry course where they again encouraged you to do this in R, Python, Matplotlib. Cool.
Yeah. Even taking that a step further back, one of our viewers asked, is there any advice or recommendations for younger students that are interested in STEM, say elementary or like middle school students, even getting that excited about STEM in that age group?
Yes, I think having things that, especially in elementary school, having things that were able to relate to me specifically is what drove my interest at an early age in STEM. And so that was, once again, taking apart a VCR or figuring out how a blender works with gloves and parental supervision. Making sure that it wasn't just these theoretical concepts that we were working with a teacher away from your parents and it's a thing that you have to do, but making sure that I could figure out how it related to me helped inspire that. Additionally, it's so imperative that both teachers and parents inspire people to stay in STEM. Oftentimes it's really easy to give conflicting advice, like really encouraging one specific type of gender to go into English, or more creative art, and then focusing on another gender to go into the math and STEM, and saying, well, they're just really good at this and you won't be. Stay encouraging, stay positive, stay motivated across a broad spectrum of each of these classes. And then from there, the last piece of advice I would give is once again, I didn't just take math classes throughout my career. It helps to have diversity and it helps to stay curious in a unique way that only a journalism class or a creative writing class can provide to you. So I've always loved being able to focus on one strain, STEM, but also take these inspiring classes. I took a class about Asian video games. It helps you stay motivated to learn. It helps you stay interested in the world around you, which will only help your career moving forward.
Awesome. Thanks, Kay. Another question from a viewer, does this job give you any opportunities to travel, or have you had any travel opportunities throughout your career?
Prior to current times, because this is a global app, of course, we want to hear from users everywhere. I am based in New York City, which I absolutely love. But if we build a product just speaking to our listeners in New York City, it will be a very different experience and probably not that useful for people in Brazil, people in Australia. So yes, oftentimes we will be able to travel with, once again, our user research counterparts who are really focused on individual user experience and building mental models and understanding how people use our product. And so we'll travel with them to speak to those listeners and to make sure that we're getting a diverse opinion about how people are using the app.
Yeah, it sounds really cool to have like a global product.
Mm-hmm.
One of our viewers has also asked, what has been one of the biggest accomplishments of your career so far?
So actually, recently I've been promoted to a product insights manager, where I will have a team of data scientists. And I am beyond excited to do so because I absolutely love inspiring the next group. I love teaching and I love helping people develop their careers as well in a field that I am very passionate about. So I think the most exciting thing for me is my next chapter.
That sounds awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, I think that's all the viewer questions we have. Kay, is there anything else you'd like to leave us in terms of words of wisdom for our younger viewers, or even folks that are inspired today to maybe pick up a book and think about a STEM career change?
Yeah, for the younger generation, once again, pick classes that you're really interested in. It's going to keep you hungry. It's going to keep you inspired. And that's the most important piece that I could recommend. If you're in elementary school or middle school, you have a long journey ahead of you, a long, exciting journey ahead of you. So stick with STEM and make sure you get some really exciting learning opportunities outside of STEM as well. if you're a little bit older, if you're in high school or college, picking out your career field, my number one piece of advice is stick with it. Not everything is easy. Not everything is easy to understand. Not every class may be an A, but at the same time, the reward at the end is worth every single part of it. So if things aren't going your way and you have a rough week or a concept is really difficult to understand, reach out, try to get help. There are so many free resources online or other classmates you can talk to, and just stick with it, because this is a very, very rewarding career field that applies to so many different aspects, and especially some really exciting things for me, music and podcasts and audio, and an app that I love and use every day.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. We really appreciate your insights, and having you on has been a really awesome way to start the morning. And we hope that everyone watching will join us again next week for a conversation with Dr. Shavonda Jacobs-Young, who is an administrator of the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Agricultural Research Service. We'll talk to her next Wednesday, September 2nd at 11 a.m. right here on Facebook Live again. More details and a full list of speakers are available on our website, carnegiesciencecenter.org. I think that wraps everything up, Kay. It was great to have you on today. Everybody, thanks for watching.